Welcome, everyone. I'm Steve Rogenstein, Honeybee Watch's project director and your host today. I'm joined by Arrigo Moro, our science director, who will lead our Q&A session at the end of the day. Today, we'll hear from three experts who not only talk the talk, but walk the walk too. Each has been directly involved in visionary ideas that, through fortitude and action, have become, or in the process of becoming, legally viable policy changes for the betterment of bees and nature. We'll hear their stories, and then at the top of the hour, I'll lead a panel discussion, and that'll be followed by a Q&A with the audience that Arrigo will moderate. To start, I'll briefly introduce Honeybee Watch to those of you who are unfamiliar with us. We've been around for more than 5 years. We're an international coalition tasked with better understanding how free-living honeybees survive via natural selection with little or no human intervention. And by free living, we mean bees that choose where they want to live, whether that be in tree cavities, natural tree cavities, or log hives, holes in the ground, building walls, chimneys, abandoned beehives. Wherever they choose, that's where they want to be. So Honeybee Watch's aim is to find nature-based solutions to lower mortality rates of managed colonies, increase beekeeping sustainability, and ultimately protect these threatened wild populations around the world. In a nutshell, this Symposia series is also part of our efforts to create and kind of consolidate and build community around this global coalition that's centered around free-living honeybees. We've organized the Symposia series for the last 3 years, and its attempt is to introduce experts to one another to facilitate the exchange of knowledge and data and best practices. It's to introduce you as the audience to their work and to connect you to one another. And of course, in a Symposia series, we want to dive into challenging topics and really explore what the possibilities are, maybe come to some solutions. And then that brings us to today's program, the last symposium of the year, which is titled Policy Issues, Banning Imports, Fighting Pesticides and GMOs, and Rights of Nature. So we're excited to welcome our three guests and provide this platform for them to share policy-related stories, which hopefully will leave you feeling empowered and inspired, and maybe even for you to take steps towards legislative change where you're located to benefit bees and nature. Our next guest is Loretta in Ireland, who's the chairperson of NIHBS, the Native Irish Honeybee Society. We go back a while. I helped with NIHBS's communications when they had a gap in their team. And at that time, in addition to their regular activities, which you'll describe in a moment, they were embarking on a political journey to ban the importation of non-native honeybees into Ireland, which is basically the gist of what she'll present. Through the years, they've experienced ups and downs, whether political, bureaucratic, academic/scientific, and which are indicative of such a bold and groundbreaking endeavor. So if you should pursue legal action and changing policy, you will definitely have ups and downs. And then, like Eric just showed us, if you have victories, you'll have potentially issues with enforcement. So all of this is going to be presented right now. So Loretta, if you are ready, I'll give you 14 minutes on the timer, and then we can start.
Just to say hello, everyone, and thanks to Steve and Arrigo and the team for facilitating this series. When Steve actually invited me to speak, I was rather reluctant, as I'm not a scientist, only a moderate beekeeper, and my role is more in the administration arena. Anyway, I was pretty gloomy about our situation, and we haven't yet succeeded in getting a ban on imports, but Steve can be persuasive. So he said, even if the bill is paused, the Honeybee Watch series isn't all rainbows and happy endings. It's about the realities and struggles. We prefer transparency, and we're not afraid to confront and expose difficult topics. So he said, you and NIHBS have been dealing with this for years. The struggle is real. We'd like people to know what it's like to ascend this uphill battle, as it could potentially guide others to follow in your footsteps. So just to say thank you to Mary and Eric for setting the scene behind this specific story of the rights of nature. It's good to be amongst like-minded people. So here are some of the steps NIHBS have taken in this uphill battle. And for background, and because we have a diverse audience, a few words about our native Irish honeybee, which is Apis mellifera mellifera. As you can see, the dark European honeybee. The Latin name means honey-bearing bee. It's adapted to the cool oceanic climate of North and Western Europe and Ireland, but it has severely declined across its original territory due to increases of non-native subspecies and hybridization. And the map shows clearly how AMM has undergone massive decline. You can see our tiny little island over here and still here. Ireland is fortunate that AMM still predominates on our whole island. In fact, we have a unique ecotype, but it is also seriously and increasingly threatened with hybridization. The native black bee is an important part of Ireland's natural and cultural heritage, and it has a right to be protected. So some of the steps in the battle, as we say, many years ago in Ireland, there was a widespread impression that the black bee had become extinct. That wasn't based on fact or science, but on speculation and hearsay. Fortunately, some beekeepers realised that we still had good pure populations of native honeybees, and they also realised that these must be protected as they were threatened. So threatened due to imports of non-natives and crossbreeding resulting in hybrids. So in 1991, the Galtee Bee Breeders Group, GBBG, they started work to preserve and conserve native Irish honeybees. There was huge national support and enthusiasm for this aim from all over the country, and GBBG grew exponentially. They focused on education in the theory and practice of honeybee improvement, and started with voluntary conservation areas. So GBBG set up the first voluntary conservation areas, as I say, which are safe havens where native honeybees are protected and conserved. Now, work on the conservation areas has been ongoing ever since, and this is some of our current signage, which I think is quite nice. Temperament of honeybees, of course, is hugely important, and I just want to get my pointer there. And Ireland's population of AMM are the choice of 90% of all beekeepers here. They're usually gentle and easy to work with, low swarming. They fly at low temperatures, even in light rain, regularly produce an average of 32 kilos of honey per annum, and they're thrifty over winter, can endure long periods of confinement, which is necessary. So the temperament can be variable, but you can eliminate the negative through bee improvement, which is a lot of what we're all about. So background, why do we need to conserve AMM in Ireland? Well, the greatest threat to the health of our native honeybees is hybridization, and it's caused by imports of other subspecies. Open mating behavior of honeybees allows crossbreeding. It results in a loss of native traits and characteristics. It often produces aggressive, unpredictable honeybees. And hybrids lack the specific characteristics which AMM evolved over millennia in tune with the environment. But also bringing non-native honeybees in allows or causes threats from imported pests, diseases, pathogens, for example, Varroa and Tropicalaps. So in 1998, the Varroa mite was imported into Ireland on honeybees. It quickly spread all over the country, devastating colonies then and still needing ongoing chemical treatment now to manage it. Tropicalaps, we are told, will be much, much worse. So in 2012, the Native Irish Honeybee Society was formed. It's an all-Ireland group to continue the work of GBBG, and it's open to all. Ireland, as some will know, is one geographic island, but it has 2 legislative and regulatory jurisdictions. And ideally, the whole island would be a conservation area for AMM. We're lucky to be on an island and to have this geographic advantage. We have a quarterly magazine, which people may be familiar with, 4 Seasons, Ceraroy and Abliana, and we're all volunteers in NIHBS, and funds are used mainly for research and education. In 2018, NIHBS produced the first information leaflets on honeybee improvement and our own book. So this is just shows you the booklets, and down here there's one on how to improve your local bees. So they're just basic practical booklets to help beekeepers improve our own local honeybees. A little bit more about NIHBS. We work closely with, and we're indebted to all scientists, but especially Grace McCormick and the team at University of Galway. We focus on honeybee improvement, queen rearing workshops, online courses. We maintain a list of reputable queen and bee suppliers to avoid people having to import. The website's available to all with a special members area. We're aligned with SICAM, the International Federation for Conservation of AMM, and at SICAM's conference in Norway this year, there was a unanimous vote wholeheartedly supporting the efforts of NIHBS and including their continuing efforts for a ban on imports of non-native honeybees. We often take courage from what our colleagues in the EU are doing, and we were very encouraged with the Prospects and Challenges document, which underlines the need to preserve the extraordinary genetic heritage, diversity and capacity for adaptation of local endemic honeybee populations. And it called on member states to use all means possible to protect local and regional honeybee species. We felt that this was a clear instruction to our authorities to protect local honeybees. However, that was nearly 8 years ago. This is from an opinion piece in Trends in Ecology and Evolution, and some of the authors is Fabrice Requier and Lionel Garnery, but they talk here about the revision of the IUCN Red List of Bees. It should be initiated to pinpoint the current risk of extinction of wild western honeybee populations in Europe, and we'll come back to that a little bit later. This is a research paper from the Journal of Apiculture Research. Some of the authors, Brown, Hassett, McCormick et al., where scientists prove that AMM still exists in the wild despite Varroa. And we show here that unmanaged free-living honeybees colonies are present and widespread in Ireland, inhabiting a mixture of nesting habitats with some colonies persisting naturally and unaided over multiple years. Hugely important research. 2021, we took several significant steps. We started the Queen Rearing Group scheme as a pilot for future years. It's still going strong, working really well. Conservation areas and ambassadors, I've got a slide on that in a minute. Produced our own native honeybee book, and it was hugely important that the statement against imports was signed up to by all the Irish beekeeping organisations. We also started on the legal efforts to ban imports of non-native honeybees. Here's a nice picture learning from the master at one of the honeybee improvement workshops. We also have the Queen Rearing Group schemes, as I mentioned, which includes online courses, and its purpose is to fill the demand for queens and reduce imports. A sustainable way to work with our local honeybees and keep them safe. This is the map of Ireland showing 2024 conservation areas, but there are more of them now. We call them conservation areas now too, rather than we've dropped voluntary, but we still have no legal protection. So 5 years ago, we had about 20 conservation areas. We now have 400, all safe havens, and plans for 500 soon. Oftentimes, conservation areas are not created by beekeepers at all, but by concerned individuals, groups, businesses, or others who support our objectives. So we have a network of ambassadors, that's AMM ambassadors, who are the links between the conservation areas and NIHBS. Here is our beautiful own book that was published in 2020 in the middle of COVID. To date, we've sold nearly 2,000 copies. It's a brilliant book and available to purchase on our website. In 2021, the Climate Bar Association were introduced to us by Senator Vincent P. Martin of the Green Party, and they're a group of environmentally minded senior barristers who were interested in what we were trying to do. They helped us enormously, they're assessing and analysing the legal situation and ultimately drafted the bill to ban imports of non-native honeybees. This photo shows our team presenting the case to senators. It includes Cleona Kimber, who's here from the Climate Bar Association, and Aoife Nagilakota, previous chairperson, and Colm O'Neill, another stalwart of NIHBS. Exciting times those. We really thought we were on the way. The protection of the native Irish honeybee bill then 2021, the Climate Bar Association, Cohail, drafted the bill, its purpose being to ban the importation of non-native honeybees. It was introduced by Senator Vincent P. Martin in October 21 and completed in October 24. So it was done with the help of the CBA team, Grace McCormack, Senator Martin, and we were all full of hope and optimism. It took 3 years, as you see, to get through the 5 stages of the Seanad, one of Ireland's 2 Houses of Parliament. Today, it must go through the 3 more stages before it becomes law. But it has been paused for the research to be done to assess the threat. So we are feeling less optimistic now. We continued pursuing all options and considered legal action, and the Minister also sought legal advice from the Attorney General, and a detailed tender process followed to source a team of scientists to assess the threat to the Apis mellifera. So this was wonderful news to us. We were certain this would prove our case. There's no doubt about it. So after a year of hard work, the research was completed and delivered to the Department of Agriculture, but it has not been published yet, 1 full year onwards. So in 2023, life goes on, doesn't it? And introgression was getting worse. So another paper was published here showing that hybridization increased from 5% in 2018 to 12% in 2023. Beekeepers were also confirming hybrids are increasing, leading to aggression and other undesirable characteristics. 2024, introgressive hybridization puts the distinctive population of Apis mellifera in Ireland at risk. So this was good news and bad news. So proof that we have a unique ecotype here in the country, but bad news because it is becoming further hybridized. In 2025, we began invasive alien species became quite a thing. The Asian yellow-legged hornet arrives into 3 different places in Ireland. Tropicalaps are on the borders of Europe and coming closer. This island relies on biosecurity measures that, it's worth putting in capitals, will not stop trops. But Article 36 could do that. So Article 36 of the EU Treaty allows member states to take measures when justified, expressly including the protection of health and life of humans. The threats of hybridization and tropicalaps constitutes a situation where it is justified to take measures to protect the health of Ireland's honeybees, and the protection bill is already halfway to being law. So this is an ideal opportunity for the department to take action now. 2025, our steps are faltering. We watch our neighbours and other countries take action. UK and Canada ban imports of honeybees from Ukraine due to the threat of tropicalaps. We asked our government to act. We continuously asked them to publish the research assessing the threat, but they won't. Finally, we put in a freedom of information request. It has just been refused. They say it's not in the public interest. We just don't understand why. So Arrigo and his team were very involved in this important initiative, and in 2025, wild honeybees in Europe became classed as endangered. And here in Ireland, as we know, we have got the last remaining significant populations of Apis mellifera. So how are we going to protect our unique ecotype? Next steps in this uphill battle, a tiny percentage are importing. They're having a massive effect on Apis mellifera and on beekeepers, and this is not right. Beekeepers have a right to the scientific research assessing the threat. Our native bees have a right not to become extinct. They can't do it themselves, though, as we just learned from Mari. They need us humans to intervene positively now to counter our negative interference so far. It's time for the precautionary principle. I would like to finish and try and remain positive. with a quote from Martin Luther King. You don't have to see the full staircase just to take the first step. I'll stop sharing now, Steve.
I love how you finish it because you have been taking multiple steps, and we commend you in your efforts because, the value of preserving this natural heritage is so important and is an example for so many people all over the world because obviously there are, I don't know, 17 different subspecies of Apis mellifera that have adapted to their regions and climates over millennia. And the introduction of non-native species is really, diluting the genetics and that adaptive nature. So keep fighting, Loretta and NIHBS, and we commend your efforts. And it's an inspirational story. So thank you for sharing that.
Steve,
Yeah.
sorry, could I just finish with one final thing? I just wanted to say thank you to the committee and the members of NIHBS for all of their fantastic work all the way along. Needs to be
Yes.
said.